Greetings and namaste, and welcome back to the Yoga PodClass. Today, we are kicking off another series with the Boundaries Coach, Kerstin Phillips. So excited to have Kerstin here with us today as we talk about things all related to boundaries and how that applies to yoga and our real life off the mat. Taking one breath at a time, empowered to just be present with what we are, where we are. So I invite you now to take that breath with me and ground in, noticing the space that supports you, both beneath your body, but also the atmosphere and ether around you. And let's dive in. Kerstin, welcome. So what we typically do, we always settle in and we keep the pace of the yoga pod class slow. We're looking for that nervous system resonance, giving people a chance to tune in to regulation and noting that regulation is not always being calm, but being able to come back from that triggered state or that kind of deflated state. So wherever you may be, taking that breath and joining us in presence. Again, thank you so much, Kerstin Phillips, for being here, the Boundaries Coach. Can you give us a little bit more info about what you do and why you do it? And what's your message right today?
100%. Thank you, Chelsea. I'm so excited to be here too and to be in this space with you. So yes, I am the boundaries coach, and I help exhausted humans stop saying yes when they mean no, and to set healthy boundaries without the guilt. Because so many of us like run on empty all the time and are just trying to push through, but like talking about resetting our systems, it's like that's not good. Then we're constantly in a place of depletion. So my work is working with folks both one-on-one as a coach, and I have a group program called Boundaries and Balance that I run once a year, that are both geared towards helping folks figure out, okay, where is it that I'm giving too much, I'm letting go of all of my energy and not keeping anything for myself, so that yeah, they can come back to themselves, to recenter and to feel grounded and present, and to be able to function and not feel like, you just need to lay on the couch all day.
And what got you on this path? How did you become the Boundaries Coach?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. Like it takes a few twists and turns. So I kind of have to go back a bit in time. More than 10 years ago. Probably close to almost 20 years ago, when I became an accountant without ever taking an accounting class, because I'm good with numbers and details. And I can also communicate with humans, which was an important part of this particular job, which is, I think, why they gave it to me. And I worked as an accountant for almost 10 years, but I didn't love the work. I would just come home so frustrated, so depleted, just like and take it out on my family. I would just be in that awful mood. And I wasn't fun to be around. And I knew something needed to change, because I'm like, I'm not happy. And so the one thing that was keeping me sane was the 1 hour a week when I would go to yoga. And that time on my mat, like I can now look back and see, I was like, oh, that was the only time I was allowing for myself to be myself. I wasn't listening to anyone else's demands or needs or trying to figure out, what everyone else wanted. It was just for me. And because that felt so good, I was like, well, I think I need more of this. So I was like, I'll become a yoga teacher, because that's going to make this all better for me. So, and then yeah. And the other element that was happening is that my husband at this point was already an entrepreneur as a photographer, which meant that I also had to hold on to that accounting job, because that was the only way our family could have, health benefits. which was huge. But then thankfully the Affordable Care Act came along and I was like, great. I don't have to keep working at a job I don't love. I can go do something that I actually enjoy and we can actually have health benefits for our family, right?
Yes.
Like that was huge. And so then the main pivot that happened that actually brought me to becoming a coach was then when the pandemic happened. Because at that point I got cut off from my yoga community. All the studios, the public spaces were all shut down and I felt really alienated and alone. But a friend of mine that had trained me to be a yoga teacher said, "Hey, I'm leading this training. It's for yoga teachers to become life coaches. Do you want to do it?" And I said yes without even knowing what that fully meant. I was just excited to be in community with other yoga people. I'm like, that sounds great. I love learning.
Yes. This is why we get along. I just love that. That's so great.
Right?
Two
And so
strangers
then
on the
about
internet. We've gotten into this alignment. We're on that frequency, and it is so cool. Keep going. This is so good.
yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, so then about 3 weeks into that training, I was like, "Oh, wait. I've been a coach my whole life. I just didn't know that's what this skill was called."
Oh,
You know? I and I also kind of relate that so much that we don't always honor the skills that we have if we don't have, the degree, the certificate, the like official stamp. Because, looking back, I'm like, I worked as an accountant for 10 years successfully with zero training,
yes.
you know? And then recognizing that, like, oh, I like coaching is just how I show up. Like, I help people to discover things for themselves. Like, I don't tell them what to do. I can help them figure out solutions, offer suggestions, but it's like I'm a coach. And so then once I finished my training, it was then kind of figuring out, okay, well, who do I want to work with? Like what do I want to do? What's the thing? Like who are my people and what do they need? That was the question I had to figure out. So with my earlier clients, it was kind of like, okay, well, what do I enjoy most? Okay, who do I really love working with? Like want to keep working with? And the thing that it kept coming back to is like, oh, it's all about boundaries. The people I connect with most deeply are beautiful, heart-centered, giving, loving, caring humans, but they're doing that so much that they don't have the boundaries for themselves. So there's also they're feeling stuck in resentment and frustration, and then they're feeling guilty because they're feeling resentment towards the people they care about the most. But it's because they don't have the boundaries to give them, their own stuff and their own things that they need. That's how I got to be the boundaries coach.
I love it. And there's so much that I heard you say. I mean, you were asking questions, right? You were asking yourself questions. And then you were also acknowledging strengths that you were not certified. Absolutely. I relate my, oh, I'll become a yoga instructor. And when you decide to take that path of, those plot twists and turns, my first yoga school, the mantra was shift happens. And yeah, shift happens. Yeah, I applaud you for being on the journey. And you talked a lot about different things from the energy and even the emotions. And me in where I'm at, I love that. And I want to ask our listeners to check in on your posture, check in on your breath, that invitation to soften between the eyebrows and relax the jaw. And also hit on, you mentioned policy change. So many things. Boundaries come in many forms. I look forward to the topics that we are going to have. I think we have 4 for sure on deck, but we're open to what this conversation evolves to because it's vast. And you've got 2 yogis who, like, as you know, yoga is not just about the movement on the mat. It's our breath work, it's our sense withdrawal, it's our meditation, it is our practices of life and how we treat others and ourselves and the earth. It's our connection to ourselves and source. And what's interesting too is that I think the common pathway is that 1 hour on the mat that we find, oh my goodness. And we want, how do we experience that off the mat? And that's what yoga PodClass is about, right? What are these little tips and tricks that we can take in the moment, in real life, when you don't have that hour-long practice? And if you've been on following this journey with me, I'm all about that 1%. 1% of our day is less than 15 minutes. And if we can take the time to notice, right? Set a timer for 3 minutes at a time to sit and breathe and feel the support beneath you, acknowledge the air and the ether around you. Things that we can't see, right? And just because we don't see them doesn't mean it's not there, right? Wi-Fi is real, Bluetooth frequencies are real, radio frequencies are real, energetic frequency is real. And the things that I've learned is boundary setting is a tough job, but we're the only ones that can do it. And it takes us to say, this is what I accept, this is what I will not accept. There are practices to help you set those energetic boundaries, staying with your breath. And if you'd like, I'd invite you to join me with one now, where we take a deep breath in, option to close your eyes. Breathing in through the nose, and then exhaling as if you're blowing out a candle. And as you're blowing out a candle, imagining that you're inflating a big, beautiful bubble around you. Each exhale, the bubble expands as this beautiful iridescent screen, if you will, that filters. And as you exhale, exhaling what those filters need to be. Please block XYZ. And noticing, and as you inhale, you're noticing those places inside of you that are actually hooks to those things that you don't want. Because as we create this bubble around us, we invite that filter to remove those hooks and energetic entanglements that are inside of our body and beings. If you followed us through the oceans of you experience, through the layers and the koshas, our energetic body, it's there. Our chakra system aligns with different nerve plexus endings that MRIs are showing exist. So again, just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it's not there. And then just taking that time to tune in to your breath inside of your body, because it's the noticing that counts. Noticing those spaces and those places that are difficult to breathe into. And then exhale, inviting a softening. Noticing if any colors, shapes, sensations, temperatures are present. And noticing those things, those statements, those patterns of behavior, those ways of being that don't make the boundary. You're setting the standard, even now in this moment, with your breath, with your intentional focus. Noticing yourself inside the bubble, not contained, still free, breathing maybe clearer. And when you're ready, only when you're ready, invitation to open your eyes again, softly looking around the room. And I'd love to ask you, Miss Phillips,
Mm.
do you notice most as soon as you set a boundary? What happens?
Like, with someone else, or
In any of the ways that you set boundaries with yourself or with another person? I'm just interested in what your take is on that.
yeah. So often when I set a boundary, it's funny. The hardest person for me to
Right.
set a boundary with is myself, which is common for most people. But when I set a boundary with another person, there usually is initially resistance because I'm trying to, usually ask for something that I want. And actually, I didn't just yesterday, I actually had to reinforce some boundary setting with my husband. Because my home office space is in our basement, and there's no door to my office. So it's like I have a curtain, and I have a little sign that's got like a green circle, a yellow circle, and a red circle. That's and then I have a little like a little sticky arrow that I move between those. So like green is like come in, like it says like I'm just cold, like everything's good. But yellow is like there's this you need like I'm in the middle of something, but you can come in. And red is like enter at your own peril. Like, I'm really focused. And my husband would often come in when it was at yellow and kind of just come in and start talking to me. And I realized that I'm okay if it's a simple, yes, no question, like, or like, when will you be ready for dinner? Or what's the next thing you're doing? Something really short. But if it was a longer, more involved conversation, it would take me away from what I was doing. And I was getting really frustrated and angry with him because he came in and interrupted me in what I was doing. And so those initial feelings of recognizing, oh, I need to get clear on this boundary. Like there's that initial, I feel angry, I feel frustrated, like resentment kind of feelings. That's often what builds up like, oh, I I need to clarify what my boundary is here. So then later in the day when I felt calmer and more grounded, I was like, I asked if he was open to having a conversation about it. And so we sat together on the couch, and that actually felt very loving and kind because we were able to each reflect, I said, this is how I'm feeling. This is why I reacted in that way. Cause there were about 10 other things also happening in my head, contributing to my anger and frustration. So it's like recognizing these are all the things that are happening for me. This is why I reacted this way. And this is what I need moving forward. Like that when it's on yellow, totally come in and ask a yes, no question. Great. If it's anything more than that, ask if I've got this capacity for that in that moment, because I might not.
Yeah.
And but in answering back to your question, it's like actually having that conversation of setting the boundary felt really good and nurturing and supportive. And I like to add that my husband and I have these conversations fairly regularly. Like this has become a normal part of how we interact with each other. So if you're
That's
new to boundary setting, it can feel really scary.
yeah.
It can feel really overwhelming. And there can be, yeah, fear and tension and even guilt are all really normal things to feel in that moment. And I've definitely felt those in the past, or if it's with someone I haven't set a boundary with before.
So well stated. And in taking those moments right now to even check in with your own presence, she mentioned things like having a conversation with your partner. Ooh, how does that make you feel? Notice the sensation, right? Still notice the support beneath you. Eyes can be open or closed, but where does that light up inside of your body? What is that sensation? Does it bring fear? Does it bring, oh, I don't want to ruffle feathers? Um, what happens inside of your body when you look inside and you think about or feel fear? Can you be present with that fear? Because what we resist persists. Yeah. And just noticing the resentment or the frustration when your boundaries are getting violated. I think oftentimes when we're new to boundary setting, we think we're just frustrated for no reason, but we're not realizing that we haven't taken the time to set boundaries. Um, even knowing that you had to. I think that was like oh, I have to do this? Oh, okay, yeah, no, I don't want this, and I do want this. And on the mat or off the mat, one of my favorite things that I've learned in a yoga class is like that forward fold. Taking a deep breath in and hinging at the hips with a flat back and coming down and holding the opposite elbows and just consciously with awareness and intention, taking a deep breath in and shaking your head yes. Yes to those things that are in alignment with who we truly are at the core, right? Through the layers, through the depths, through the oceans of you. I am just so stuck on that because we were just finishing up that course, and it's been really revealing. Um, every time that I've gone through a course, every time I put together a course, I'm going through it too. And it's so beautiful to explore in those group containers and and then see how things start to ripple out in life. And maybe you notice this too when you started going to yoga class, maybe you had all of these things that were on your plate. And for some reason, when you took that hour, like things were more in alignment after you left. Like you didn't actually work on any of that at all. But oh well now I gotta do this, and then things just kinda fell into place. I think that was she's nodding her head, yes. That was my experience with yoga. And also through the pandemic where you couldn't go to a yoga class. So again, really one of my favorite books that I haven't read, but I've only just meditated with the title is Living Your Yoga, right? How do we find presence? How do we find that little tiny moment of our day, less than 1%, to just ground down? Maybe it's when we're folding clothes or washing the dishes and we find our mountain plugging in through our big toe mounds and our little toe mounds and the points in our heels. And just noticing, rolling the shoulders. I used to be one of those that cranked them down in the back when the yoga instructor said, "Get your shoulders down." And oh, so now I'm learning like, no, Chelsea actually had to learn to elevate her shoulders. And then, so now IQ, because I don't want other people to do what I did. IQ, can you elongate your ears away from your shoulders? Instead of, otherwise, it's like, you want my shoulders down? I'm cranking them down. Oof. Now I know that was a boundary violation, right? And I didn't know that at the time, but my body did. And what we do here in this yoga pod class per se is we notice in our body what's showing up, what being present with what is. Doing that just like 3-minute meditation, the bubble meditation, that's going to have impact, right? And you may notice some of the things that you set a boundary on in that time coming up. And this is in my like experience is when like the universe says, "Okay, you set a boundary, but do you mean it?" Right? You said the word reinforce. Yeah. When you set a boundary, you have to reinforce them. And that can be tricky too. Noticing in your body like, "Oh, for me it's like right here in my solar plexus. It's like, "Oh, I have to reinforce that." That's the next layer for me. Okay. Right? It's interesting when we speak on things because it always ends up being a lesson for myself. So thank you for this space, and thank you for showing up to your own boundaries. And thank you for saying no to everything that you had to say no to. Was that list longer than you expected, shorter than you expected, what you expected?
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many things. Well, and Chelsea, I just want to circle back to like the cranking the shoulder thing
Yeah.
because I 100% did that too. Like I was always trying in yoga, I was always trying to jam my shoulders down my back, which was
Mhm.
causing me way more injury than what that cue had intended.
Yeah.
So I just find it really fascinating because yeah, you and I have not known each other for very long, and yet like we have so many things in common and so much crossover it's just it's really powerful to experience that.
Yeah. If experience is exactly the word, right? We're present here. We came on with an intention and to speak about who we are and what we do. and have that in conversation dialogue form. And this is a result of it. We are literally continuing to getting know each other. Um, but I've been I see her work. I see her Instagram. I get her emails. I don't open a lot of emails, let alone subscribe to a lot of emails. Um, and she gets my attention. There are things that her hooks that I'm like, yes, I need to read what she said here. And because I think the importance, is that boundaries is a lifelong skill, right? Confidence is a skill that we build, our breathwork practice, our showing up to be present with our body and see what is, right? All of those are skills, and it doesn't take going away to some immersive place, even though that's fun, but learning how to do it in real life. Because when you go to that immersive place and then you come back and you try to apply, how many times do we fall off and you're like, okay, that was really cool. And I did it for about 4 days after I got home. And now I'm back into the rut of life. Samskaras is what we call that in yoga. Um, and not saying that everything that we do is bad, but it's noticing our habits that are maybe like microscopic degrees off of our true north, that have such a huge effect once you get to where you're going if you are off just that degree. So being present with what is, noticing when you're not in balance, and also noticing though that we're kind of always trying to achieve balance. That's another like yogic perception that I was like, "Ooh, I'm just gonna be like in balance, cool, calm, collected all the time." But truthfully, it's like we find balance and then something shifts because everything is changing in emotion, that we go back into this state of unbalance. So it's actually learning to kind of be centered and sense of balance, rooted and grounded right here in the now while things move. And that is where we harness our power and our presence. And we have this energetic filter that says, nope, that doesn't come here. Nope, no, thank you. But it takes the time, it takes the effort to build. What you said you mentioned a year-long class, container, a couple other workshops. What Tell us how we can work with Kerstin, the boundaries coach, what you're doing and what your hopes are for this new Gregorian 2026. I know some people really honor the new year come February and some other really honor the new year come April. I'm kind of like, uh well, I kind of like to play with them all, right? My 2026 is like, okay, what do I still need to like pull out? And then February comes, I'm like, okay, what do I really need to add in? Kind of tending that soil. And then April, it's like, okay, let's plant. This is the beginning. This is where the growth happens, where you're going to be pushing up through the soil. Things are gritty. And I just love playing with those seasons. So seasons. How do we work with Kirsten?
I love that you also brought up the seasons and yeah, the different ways that we can interact with the year. I'm very much more attuned to the lunar new year being more the start of the year. Like I feel like January is just kind of a we're just trying to sort out what just happened and figure out where we're going. Like it's not it feels a little January feels messy to me as a like it experimentation kind of month, I feel. But uh in terms of where to find me, how to work with me, on Instagram, I'm Love and Live Wellness. My website is loveandlivewellness.com. Yeah, the container is talking about boundaries and balance, which will be starting with the Lunar New Year, is a 10-month container where there's like, we start weekly for just the first 6 weeks because Chelsea, what you're just talking about, the immersive experience, you go away, but then trying to come back and incorporate things into your real life, that is where the struggle is. So with boundaries and balance, we meet online once a week for 6 weeks to give you the foundation, to give you the tools that you need. Then you get to go and practice them. And I really want to emphasize practice. Because as you try something new, it's hard. It's difficult. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't, and things come up. And that's why the container continues. or we meet once a month. So you get to come back and be like, okay, this part's working. I don't know what to do here. So that as you're coming into your boundary setting, by the time we've completed, you feel really solid in your boundaries, in how to ask for what you need. Like your confidence is boosted. It's this really incredible transformation. Like being able to see that in my clients, like uh, that's why I do it. And Chelsea, like you're saying too, when you host a program, when you lead, when you teach, like you are learning as well. So I'm forever like learning. My boundaries are getting better. My conversations are getting deeper. It's the best thing. But that's my bigger container that I lead. I also am really big on journaling, which I know we didn't really even touch on at all today, but I just want to leave like a teaser that I am a super geek when it comes to journaling and that I lead a weekly journaling group. Because writing things down, yes, yes, yeah, writing things down is so important for our brains and our mental health and even our physical health. It's it's really important. So I'm imagining that, you and I are going to geek out on that as well, Chelsea, in a future episode. So little teaser there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then I do private coaching as well. And one of the other aspects of folks that I help with private coaching is folks that are in like a 9 to 5, likely a job you're really good at, but you're miserable. You don't love the work you're doing. You want to be doing something else. I help you pivot. Maybe it's a career shift. Maybe it's to become an entrepreneur. Like that's the other work that I do in my private coaching.
I love that. Journaling once a week. Wow, that's a big deal. And it's like when you show up, right? And you have that commitment that you actually continue to show up. And then you see other people. I heard it said by one of my mentors and fellow co-authors that we grow better together. And wow, yeah, we do. We get to mirror for each other when you're in those container spaces. We're just finishing up Oceans of You, which is going to be packaged and sold um, as a standalone series and launching in the app. I'm super excited about, but they're still going to have that community feature. So when you're going into the Oceans of You, you're going to have access to me and other people that that have gone through the layers and the chakras and the elements and how they pertain to us in real life and our co-creative abilities and to regain control, right, of what we can, right? There's so much that is out of our control and we can get lost in that, right? But when we can harness our boundaries, um, right to use of energy, we call it in yoga, right? We're paying attention to what makes sense, right? Where attention goes, energy flows. And we're saying no to the things that don't, the things that are not in alignment, the things that are just there as like pop up annoying distractions. Please notice where annoying pops up in your body sensationally if you are still present. I thank you all so much for being here. You can find me at CLAEL11 on Instagram, and I have a link tree in my bio. You can come find me all the ways. I'm actually working on some of my funnels, and I do have a year-long program that includes journaling. Yes, called the Anchor, and what's really exciting about these conversations, people are like, why are you two people who are kind of doing similar but different things, like talking about what they're doing? And there's a very, very important reason, is because I honor and respect what she's doing, and I know that what she's doing is aligned with the values that I would love to share with my audience. And I know that we all have our different nuances and quirks, and that if you don't find that what you're looking for with me, I want you to find it somewhere else, right? I want to grow audiences and we are very much, I know this because we talked about this when we joined, it's like, let's grow together, right? We grow better together. Let's have these conversations that people aren't talking about. Let's talk about some of the hard stuff. Let's hold each other accountable, right? Journaling is one of my hardest things to hold myself accountable for. Full disclosure. And I'm like, "Oh gosh, I'm gonna start journaling." I just know it because 'cause I'm admitting it out loud. but I'm ready for it and I'm excited for it. And again, it is part of my program. And when I get to be with other people who are in it, that there's just not a word for it. Do you know the word? Like, you show up to these spaces and these containers, and everybody may have a slightly different intention, but yet the growth or the noticeable progression is felt and similar and overlapping for everybody that's in those containers.
Yeah, I don't think I have a I'm like kind of like, synchronicity kind of popped in, but I don't that's not like kismet, like not quite right. But
Yeah,
yeah, there's like this beautiful overlap and the shared learning. It's by being together, it's like you all elevate
yeah,
to the next level together.
yep, yep, right, yep. That's how I kind of explain it with the oceans. Like you're riding the tide, right? We're going up. So good. Are there any parting words you have for our listeners? Any like off the mat in life real tips that you'd like to share?
Yeah. Well, Chelsea, I kind of want to touch back on like the journaling piece just a tiny bit
Yes.
because uh, it's so important to write things down. It There are studies, showing that writing down improves like your memory, your connection to yourself. Whereas typing things, you are disconnecting yourself. So I just want to invite all of the listeners here that if you tend to type things all the time and you never write anything down, I want to challenge you, write one sentence. One sentence in the next 48 hours. That's it. Write one sentence down and then notice, how does that feel in your body? Like coming back to the beautiful tools that Chelsea's given you of that awareness. And I bet you'll feel something different that maybe you haven't felt before, or you'll feel it in a different way.
Thank you so much. I'm going to take your challenge. Thank you. And I look forward to carrying and continuing on with this conversation. It's going to get deeper. It's going to get specific. And I, you know, I've tried scripting. If you've been following the yoga podcast for a little bit, I've tried scripting these and it doesn't go as well. I love the candid, open conversations. So we have ideas of what we're going to talk about and we want you there. And if you have anything specific to questions about boundaries, comment below. We're going to check all the comments and we're going to tailor and grow together, which has also been true on the podcast this whole long, right? Like what in real life is preventing you from being present, right? And we'll workshop it on these PodClass, right? We want to value your time and always just leave you with these amazing golden nuggets and take them all, take none of them, take one of them, right? It's finding and plugging and playing with what works and then riding that wave up, right? And then we'll dive into the things that don't work or the things that we habitually avoid. Journaling. Full disclosure. So thank you all for being here. We will see you again soon. More with Kerstin Phillips, the Boundaries Coach on Yoga Podcast. Thank you and namaste.